And check it out. The new book is called The Wild Times of Kool's School Lessons Learned. We have the author with us right now. His name is Bruce Foster, but I can't help but call you Mr. Foster. Because a bit of a backstory on you and I. You were my elementary school vice principal.
Yes, I was, Dylan, some years ago.
Pleasant Quarters Public School.
Yeah.
I think you left when I was in grade 3 or 4 or something like that, but I always wondered how you were. And then you showed up on Daytime about a year back, and here you're back with another book to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's good to see you.
Likewise. Always good to see a former student as well.
I'll try to call you Bruce, but it's hard not to call you Mr. Foster. Okay, so you also go by Mr. Kool.
Yes, I was given that handle by a student, a grade 3 student, several years ago, and I thought this might be a nice topic for books, so that's kind of where I got it.
Yeah, it's not bad to have a nickname like Mr. Kool.
It's all right.
Tell us about Zena's 6th birthday lessons learned.
Well, that was the first book, Dylan. That was written about a year and a half ago, and that, were it not for a very astute and alert bus driver, a little girl's life would have been compromised. Girl was very excited to see her father at the end of the day. At bus dismissal time, ran in front of the last bus that she was to have boarded, and having seen her dad. And I happened to have an orange vest on and grabbed her, and fortunately, bus driver Karen Worrell saw the vest, hit the brakes, and tragedy averted. So
wow, that's something.
It's essentially about bus safety and some other things that go on, and it's done quite well in the Ottawa area.
Mm-hmm. So you always have lessons that are being learned in these series of books that you put out. Now the new one is called Wild Times Kool's School. So what exactly is happening? And by the way, that's you on the cover, right, with the awesome hair?
Yeah, apparently,
you're also sporting awesome hair here today. So what exactly is this new book about?
Well, the new one has a number of ventures in it and activities. The cover, as you can see, starts with the police kind of stopping me on the way to work, and the officer taught me a little lesson: you don't speed on the way to work. So that's lesson number 1 right at the outset. There's a verbal bullying piece in the book that's kind of important as well, because this is a bit of a challenge in our schools these days. And fortunately, I happened to be in earshot of some words that some grade 7 boys were meeting out to a student who had some weight problems, and acted on that swiftly and subsequently suspended the students from school. This book is dedicated to a musician in Ottawa, a bus driver actually, who's also a musician, Richard Borbo, whose name is Yaki, who does a lot of shows and musicals for us in the schools.
Yeah, we've had him on the show before.
Have you? He's
yes.
a great guy.
Great guy.
He's kind of a business acquaintance and friend of mine, and therefore very pleased to be able to give him a dedication in the book. There's also obviously a Kids Help Phone scenario in this book, because I'm a big proponent of Kids Help Phone.
Okay, can I ask you why you're such a big supporter of Kids Help Phone?
Well, I think it's a valuable resource throughout our country. I think it initiated back in about 1985. And there's been 7.1 million calls since then, and I use it often as a resource for students. I still fill in as a principal at times, filling in for elementary principals. I will use it as a resource and give children that number and tell them to put it in their agenda or go on the website if they ever have a problem, whether their gerbil dies or their father drinks too much or whatever. So,
of course,
I just think it's a great resource, and it's fully Canadian. Fully Canadian.
Wonderful. So it's great to have all these lessons, and then obviously, well, I mean, the charity component with the Kids Help Phone.
My Illustrator and I are making a difference, we think, and we're pleased to donate a portion of the sale of each book, in fact, to Kids Help Phone. That's
beautiful. Can you tell us a quick a bit about the illustrator for this book?
Well, she's fabulous. Her name is Jessica Fleury. She's a teacher with the Ottawa Carleton District School Board, and a mother of 2, and married, and obviously very artistic and very, very busy. And I was privileged to have had her illustrate this second book as well as the first book.
Okay. So the book is out. It's been out since December?
Yeah, middle of December. It's not in stores because I'm self-published. So my greatest supporters are principals in the elementary school. So I'll visit them, and many of them are very anxious to purchase copies for the students. And I'm delighted when that happens, because then the children, of course, have their teacher read the book to them. And 20 children are benefiting, not just 1 or 2.
That's something.
And, so it's going very well.
That's very nice to hear. Obviously, I mean, are you always going to stay with children's books, or do you have maybe something in you to write something a little different down the road?
Oh no, I'm children's books. Children make the world go round, so I'll certainly continue to write about children.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have a third book? in mind already?
Yes, I do actually. The English version is done. It's about multiple sclerosis and a fundraiser we had at one of the schools I was privileged to be principal at, and the teacher set up the activity. So that's on the go. It's being translated now by a friend of mine, and it'll be illustrated actually. The pictures will be done by the middle of July.
Okay,
yeah.
That's exciting. Your career as an educator, what was the best part, or what is the best part? Because you're still doing it.
It continues to be the best part, I guess. I mean, it's a privilege to be a principal or an educator. You never know in the role of principal what's going to happen each day, whether you're dealing with a fire alarm, whether you're dealing with, anyway, you have some very challenging cases, and it's kind of nice when you can help parents or help children work through some of their challenges. So I guess continuing to do that, and also to see the joy of children. I often try and get outside at recess time and just hear the banter and the fun and the playfulness that's
Has the
going on.
banter and fun changed over the years?
I really don't think so.
No?
I mean, the kids are just as loud at Briar Green as they are at Pleasant Corners School.
Yeah,
They're having fun,
we
right?
were pretty loud back then, for sure. Mr. Bruce Foster, also known as Mr. Kool, thank you so much. Congratulations on the new book.
Privilege being here, Dylan, and thank you very much for your interest in the book. And
It's wonderful to have you here.
yeah, pleasure.
MrKool.ca to find out more. Support this book and support this amazing author. We've got more Daytime Ottawa coming up on Rogers TV in moments.